Everything in life appears to be changing constantly. Seasons come and go. People enter and leave. Opportunities appear, disappear, and sometimes return in unexpected ways. Yet beneath all these changing conditions, there is one thing that quietly determines the direction of your entire life. It is not luck, it is not the economy, it is not your past, your education, or the opinions of others. It is something far more powerful, something so close to you that you often overlook it completely. It is the concept you hold of yourself. Most people spend years trying to change their circumstances while leaving their identity untouched. They want greater wealth, yet they continue believing they are someone who always struggles. They desire love, yet secretly identify as someone who is difficult to love. They long for success, yet constantly think of themselves as ordinary or overlooked. They work tirelessly to change the reflection, without realizing that the mirror has never been the cause. The world cannot consistently give you an experience that contradicts the person you believe yourself to be. This is why so many people find themselves trapped in repeating patterns. They change cities, careers, relationships, routines, and even entire lifestyles, only to discover that the same frustrations somehow follow them. Different faces appear, different locations surround them, different opportunities arise. Yet the emotional experience remains strangely familiar. Why? Because the outer picture has changed, but the inner identity has remained exactly the same. Imagine wearing a pair of colored glasses every day of your life. After enough time, you would forget you were even wearing them. Every landscape, every room, every person would appear through that same filter. You might believe the world itself possessed that color, never realizing the color came from the lens. Your assumptions function exactly like those glasses. They silently color every experience before you become aware of it. If you assume life is difficult, you naturally notice difficulties. If you assume people cannot be trusted, you unconsciously expect betrayal. If you assume opportunities are rare, your attention overlooks countless possibilities already surrounding you. The world simply reflects the lens through which you have chosen to observe it. This realization changes everything because it shifts your attention away from fighting circumstances and toward transforming consciousness. The question is no longer, how do I change my life? The deeper question becomes, who must I become for this life to feel natural? Every desire carries within it an invitation to become someone new. A desire for abundance is really an invitation to become a person who naturally expects abundance. A desire for love invites you to become someone who already feels worthy of love. A desire for confidence invites you to release the identity that depends upon fear. Notice that the outer desire always points toward an inner transformation. Yet the logical mind often resists this truth because it prefers visible action over invisible change. It believes that doing more automatically creates more. While action certainly has its place, action without a changed identity usually produces temporary results. You may force yourself into success for a season, but if you still believe you are not enough, you will eventually recreate the same limitations in another form. Identity always wins. This is why nothing truly changes until you change this one thing. The moment your concept of yourself changes, your relationship with every area of life begins changing as well. People respond differently. Opportunities appear differently. Challenges feel different. Even time seems to move differently because your awareness has shifted. Many people ask how they can develop faith. They believe faith is something mysterious given only to a fortunate few. But faith grows naturally whenever you repeatedly occupy a new identity. If every evening before sleep you quietly imagine yourself as the person you wish to become, and every morning you choose to think from that identity instead of toward it, something extraordinary begins happening. The new version of yourself slowly becomes familiar. What was once imagination becomes expectation. What becomes expectation eventually becomes experience. That is how transformation unfolds. Not through one dramatic moment, but through countless quiet moments of faithful persistence. The world often rewards visible effort. But the deepest changes always begin where no one else can see them. Long before a tree produces fruit, its roots grow silently beneath the soil. Long before a butterfly spreads its wings, transformation takes place inside the cocoon. Nature itself teaches that the invisible always comes first. Why should your own life be any different? You may feel that nothing is happening because your senses cannot yet confirm it. But your senses have never been qualified to judge invisible creation. Their purpose is to report what already exists. Imagination reveals what is becoming, Whenever you choose imagination over appearances, you step beyond the limitations of the present moment. You begin living from possibility rather than memory. Most people unknowingly build tomorrow out of yesterday. They wake up remembering old disappointments, expecting familiar struggles, anticipating predictable outcomes. Without realizing it, they recreate the same emotional state that produced yesterday's experiences. Then they wonder why life seems repetitive. Life repeats because identity repeats. Break the identity, and the repetition breaks with it. Perhaps you have spent years saying, "Nothing ever works out for me." Imagine replacing that sentence with something entirely different. "Everything is unfolding perfectly." At first, the new statement may feel unfamiliar. The old identity may argue against it. Past experiences may rise in protest. Do not become discouraged. Every new truth feels unnatural until it has been repeated enough to become familiar. You are not trying to convince the world. You are gently introducing your own consciousness to a greater version of yourself. The world will eventually follow. That has always been its role. Stop asking your circumstances for permission to believe. Circumstances are followers. Consciousness is the leader. The moment you reverse that relationship, your life begins moving in an entirely different direction. Ask yourself throughout the day, if I truly believed I was already the person I desire to become, how would I think in this moment? That single question has the power to interrupt years of unconscious habit. It gently reminds you that transformation is not postponed until tomorrow. It begins now. It begins with this thought, this reaction, this decision, this identity. Every choice either strengthens the old version of yourself or nourishes the new one. Choose wisely, because the life you experience tomorrow is quietly being formed by the person you agree to be today. There comes a moment in every person's journey when they realize that no external achievement can permanently transform an inner belief. You may receive the promotion you dreamed of, yet still fear losing it. You may find the relationship you longed for, yet continue expecting rejection. You may accumulate wealth, yet continue feeling poor within. The experience changes, but the feeling remains because the identity has not been renewed. This is why the most valuable work you will ever do is invisible. It takes place in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It happens when you choose a different thought after years of repeating the old one. It happens when you refuse to allow a temporary disappointment to define your future. It happens when you decide that your past is no longer qualified to describe who you are becoming. Every day presents countless opportunities to reinforce your chosen identity. Someone may ignore your message. Instead of concluding that you are unimportant, you calmly remember your worth does not depend upon another person's response. A plan may not unfold exactly as expected. Instead of believing life is against you, you trust that every delay is preparing the way for something better. An unexpected obstacle may appear. Instead of seeing it as proof that you are moving in the wrong direction, you recognize it as another opportunity to remain loyal to the person you have decided to become. Little by little, these choices reshape your inner world. Eventually, they reshape your outer world as well. People often underestimate how much their daily inner conversations influence their lives. Pay attention to the voice that speaks inside your mind throughout the day. Does it encourage you, or does it constantly criticize you? Does it remind you of your possibilities, or does it repeatedly replay your limitations? The words spoken within become the atmosphere in which your future grows. If your inner conversation is filled with defeat, your actions will unconsciously follow that direction. If your inner conversation is filled with confidence, gratitude, and expectation, you begin making decisions that naturally align with that state. The change is often so gradual that you hardly notice it. You begin speaking with more confidence. You stop apologizing for your dreams. You make decisions from hope instead of fear. You carry yourself with quiet assurance rather than hidden doubt. Others may describe you as lucky. They may wonder what suddenly changed. But you know the truth. Nothing happened suddenly. The visible change was simply the final chapter of a transformation that began long before anyone else could see it. Do not become discouraged if the world seems slow to respond. A river does not carve through stone because of one powerful movement. It shapes the landscape through continuous flow. Your thoughts work the same way. One hopeful thought may inspire you for a moment. Thousands of faithful thoughts reshape an entire life. There will be days when the old identity tries to return. Old memories may surface. Old fears may whisper familiar stories. Old habits invite you back into comfortable limitations. Meet them with compassion, not frustration. They are only echoes of who you used to believe you were. They no longer possess authority unless you choose to give it back to them. Each time you return to your chosen identity, you strengthen it. Each time you refuse to define yourself by yesterday, you move one step closer to tomorrow. Remember that transformation is not measured only by what appears outside. Sometimes the greatest victory is discovering that situations which once stole your peace no longer control your emotions. Sometimes progress is found in your calmness. Sometimes it is found in your patience. Sometimes it is found in your ability to smile while nothing visible has changed, because something profound has already changed within. That inner peace is not passive. It is creative. It becomes the foundation upon which new experiences are built. When your identity no longer depends on circumstances, circumstances begin losing their power over you. Instead of reacting to life, you begin directing it through the quality of your awareness. Every morning becomes a new opportunity to remember who you have chosen to be. Every challenge becomes another chance to remain faithful to that choice. Every success becomes a natural expression of the identity you have patiently cultivated. And one day, almost without noticing when it happened, you realize that the life you once imagined is no longer something you hope for. It has quietly become the life you are living, because you first allowed it to become the life you believed was already possible within yourself. In the end, your life will never rise above the story you continue telling yourself. The moment you change who you believe you are, everything around you begins to move in a new direction. Stop waiting for the world to convince you that change is possible. Become the change within, and let your new identity speak louder than your old memories. Trust the unseen, remain faithful to your vision, and walk each day as the person you have chosen to be. When you truly change this, life has no choice but to change with you.